Before you start even researching shows, because there's over 700,000 shows on iTunes, it's a lot of shows. So that's a big number to try and pare down to figure out which shows are going to be the right fit for you. So first you want to get really clear on what your goals are for podcast guesting and who your target audience is. You want to be crystal clear so you're not throwing spaghetti at a wall when you start your show research. Once you have clarity on that, we recommend having a one sheet. We make them for all of our clients, and it's just a one-page PDF with their headshot, their bio, suggested topics, suggested questions, everything to make it really easy for a host to say yes to them and also to do the interview and have some questions to work with.
Hey everybody, I'm Ken Newhouse, and I'm going to welcome you to the Get Clients Now podcast, the show where high-growth consultants and professionals come to access the newest and most effective methods and systems for online marketing, advanced sales and persuasive communication strategies, and automated marketing funnels. And if you're wondering if the Get Clients Now podcast can help you get more high-value clients, enjoy more sales, build a massive tribe, and make more money, you're absolutely going to love this show.
Newhouse's work completely blows everything else that we've ever done with Google out of the water.
I have been looking for a way to grow my presence online, and what I've viewed from Newhouse's work was something that certainly is faster than anything I've seen before.
He says he's going to do something and he does it. He does it in the time frame that he says he's going to do it in. It's exciting when you talk about the results that you're going to get, and you can believe his word because he follows it up with action.
The Newhouse is direct, he's to the point, he tells you what's on his mind, and he backs his words up. From what I know now, from working with him, he's passionate about his work, and he backs it up 100%.
What I like best is you offer something that no one else has out there, which is a pretty comprehensive approach about marketing a system.
If somebody asks me should they use Newhouse's team, absolutely, because you're going to get the important information that you need very, very quickly.
On the internet, on the different marketing techniques, I've never experienced anything like this.
I would definitely recommend Ken Newhouse for someone who's serious about growing their business. I think that your results based on the numbers would at least double the sales in a very short time frame.
Hey everybody, Ken Newhouse here from kennewhouse.com, and I'm going to welcome you back to the Get Clients Now podcast, where the one-size-fits-all marketing model is dumb, the client-centric business model is king, and top business owners and industry experts share little-known strategies that can help you accelerate brand acceptance and skyrocket marketplace significance and status so you can build your tribe with certainty. I want to remind you that we're now using MailChimp to support the Get Clients Now podcast. With MailChimp, you'll find all your marketing needs in one place. Bring your audience data, marketing channels, and insights together so you can reach your goals faster. With MailChimp, you can promote your business across email, social, landing pages, postcards, and more, all from a single platform. Today is episode number 347 of the Get Clients Now podcast, and on today's episode, I'm speaking with Margie Feldhoen, co-owner and resident marketing genius at a company called Interview Connections, a company, in fact, the first company of its kind that specializes in getting guests booked on top-ranked podcasts like Get Clients Now. Now, before we bring Margie in on the show, I want to answer an email that we got from Robin Breen. Robin is a member of the Get Clients Now Nation, and she's also a member of one of our coaching groups in the Gold Coaching Group. But here's her email. It says, "You've been telling us over the last 3 weeks or so that during the time we're all being ordered to stay at home, that we should be constantly communicating in a helpful and supportive and encouraging way with our clients, customers, and patients, your prospects, and even to the marketplace we serve. I took your advice. I've been doing that. But it feels like an element of my communication, in this case email and some videos, are lacking something. Not sure what it is," she put it in quotes, "and I was hoping that you could give me some feedback. I've attached the stuff I've been sending out to my list in this email and provided links to the short videos I've also been sending out. Any chance you could give me some feedback on how I can make my communications more quote-unquote engaging, specifically these emails and videos?" Well, Robin, first of all, let me thank you, number one, for being a member of the Get Clients Now Nation. And secondly, and just as importantly, I want to thank you for being a member of my Gold Coaching Group. Now, I also want to congratulate you for doing what most people aren't willing to do, and that is you took action. You actually did something. You listened to what I said, whether it was what I said or somebody else said. You're taking constructive action. You know, the fact that you started communicating with your list in an unprecedented way is awesome. So let me give you kudos for that. But at the same time, let me just interject this. The people that have not started doing this, listen, if you're one of these people, you're making a huge mistake. But in light of all that's going on, I'm not going to criticize you. So if you're one of those people who aren't trying to stay in touch with your clients, customers, your patients, your prospects, the people on your list, I'm not going to hammer you, right? We're all under a lot of pressure. And more than anything else, what we need is solid information. In fact, we don't want just information. We need encouragement, right? In fact, we all need to get back to work. But while we're unable to work, while you're unable to actually run a business, some of you are still running your business. I am. Some of you aren't able to run your business. But while you're in this position, this is a very unique position we find ourselves in. I want you to take the advice I've given you and just test it. Do it. Send communications, whether it's email, whether it's little short videos that you make, whether it's in your blog posts, whatever it is, write stuff that is encouraging, provide lots and lots of value on top of that. Even if people aren't able to use what you give them now, it's going to make a difference and it's going to pay off really big dividends for you in the long run. I promise you. So now let's get back to Robin's question and her point that she feels like something is missing. So Robin, let me say this. The feelings, the concerns that you actually expressed in your email, well, that's something that most people experience when they start communicating with their list of clients, customers, and patients, certainly the prospects. And in fact, I would say that most people are pretty unclear. They're very unclear about what they want to accomplish when they're writing or communicating to their list in the first place. So that's one of the first things that we need to know is we need to be clear about what we want to accomplish. You know, I think it's fair to say that whether we're talking about our list of clients or, our customers or patients, or whether we're talking about our list of prospects and leads, we all dive into this process wanting and hoping to be viewed as people of quote unquote influence to these groups of people. But unfortunately, we end up doing something that's the complete opposite of that. So let me run through a couple points with you and I'll explain what I'm talking about. Number one, you do not influence with information. You inform. Number two, you do not influence with education. You educate. Listen, in light of all the coronavirus things that are going on right now, people simply don't want more information. We're up to our eyeballs in information. People want faith. People want faith in you. Some of us are people of faith as it pertains to our religious beliefs, but I'm speaking in the context now of faith in you as the leader of the tribe, right? So they want faith in you. They want faith in your goals, your success, your experience, your expertise. They want faith in the way you tell them they should go. They want to have faith that you're going to help them achieve their goals, and they want to have faith that you can help them have success like you have. In addition to that, they want to have faith in themselves and with their ability or likelihood that they're going to be able to realize the goals and objectives they've set for themselves. Now, I just finished doing a very powerful series on storytelling for business, and in fact, I had the chance to have Lisa Cron and David J.P. Phillips on the show this past week. Those shows are going to be released about a week after this episode you're listening to right now. But these two are the world's leading experts on using stories to influence, to persuade, and to sell lots and lots and lots of stuff. And from everything I've learned over the last 5 years during my research on story and storytelling, I've learned that story is the path to faith. So what does that mean? That means that learning how to incorporate stories into your emails, stories into your blog posts, stories in your videos, and in your live presentations that you might be doing on Zoom. When I talk about doing live presentations, storytelling is critically important when you're actually with somebody, let's say on Zoom. So even if you're doing recordings, whatever it is, storytelling is vital to your success. Now, let me just interject this. David J.P. Phillips created the JP University. Now, that's a membership platform. You could also read Lisa Cron's book, and I'm talking specifically about the book Story Genius. She also wrote the book Wired for Story. And Story Genius is a book that teaches you how to write compelling stories for fiction books. Now, I know you might be saying, hey, listen, I'm not aspiring to be an author here. I have no interest in writing a best-selling fiction novel. Well, that's not the point. The point is that she teaches you how to actually create and craft stories that move people emotionally and get the reactions that you want. And then one last book that I'll mention is Annette Simmons' book. It's called The Story Factor, which is an absolutely fabulous book. And that book specifically is about how to tell stories in business, and she gives you examples of different types of stories that you want to be able to tell. So if you're thinking to yourself, well, Ken, I'd love to be able to tell stories, but I don't know what kind of stories to tell. And so in the Story Factor, you learn all the different types of stories that you should have in your story arsenal, and then you learn how to craft them. You learn all the elements that's involved in putting them together, which is very, very simple. She's made it overly simple. And so this is a great resource again. Now, the next question you want to answer is this. Why are you creating content and communicating with your clients, customers, patients, and your prospects? Now, that is a rhetorical question, I know, so let me actually just dive into this for a minute or two. This kind of communication, specifically writing emails, creating videos, and writing blog posts, things like that, things that I've been talking about specifically that are occurring during the coronavirus pandemic, this whole mess that we're in right now. These are admittedly going to have a bit of a different slant on them than what you would normally be writing or creating, like in your emails or in your blog posts or the content you create in your videos. Not a drastic difference, but nevertheless, a difference. And communications, like I've been suggesting to you, are certainly going to be crafted much differently than, say, when you're writing a sales letter or you're creating a video sales letter for the sole purpose of generating an immediate response, i.e. you're trying to generate a sale, right? So as an example, with a sales letter, when you're deciding on what you're going to say, when you pitch something, you know the direct outcome you're gunning for, right? You want to sell some stuff. That's obvious. But the major focus of your communications in this case, whether it be writing emails, blog posts, or creating short videos, should be centered around delivering quality, not just quantity. And when I say quality versus quantity, what I'm talking about is this. Don't just send out content for the purposes of sending out content. Make sure it's high quality content. Now, I want to be clear about something lest I be remiss and forget to mention it. I am not telling you to send valuable, encouraging, helpful content to the people on your lists, but then again, on the flip side of that, not try to sell them something while you're doing it. I'm not telling you that. But I am telling you that if all you send them, the people on your list and the people in your marketplace, if all you send them are offers to buy your stuff while all this bad stuff is going on, you're going to upset a lot of people and you're going to lose them. So no, don't inundate them with sales pitch after sales pitch right now in your communications. But yes, absolutely yes, by all means, make them offers on the things that you sell. Give you an example. Frank Kern. Frank Kern is taking a $2,991 course. He's offering it for $100. Don't inundate them with offers, but don't stop sending offers during this time. Send quality information to them, helpful information, stuff that's also encouraging, right? You want to encourage people, but send them content that's relative to your business that's going to be helpful to them. And whether they are able to give you money now or not, they will at some point. Now, what I'd like to do very quickly is just run through a handful of key points that I want you to keep note of as you send out these kind of communications. Number one, you want people to have strong feelings about you as a result of the communications you're putting in front of them. You want your perfect prospects to feel like you have feelings about them, like you care about them, you're concerned about them. In fact, you should be concerned about them. You should care about them on a human level. And these people have to feel like you're not just out to make a buck. That's why I said if all you do is hit them over the head with offers, you're going to lose them permanently so that when we all get back to spending money, they won't be around for you anymore. But if you will actually flip the funnel, so to speak, and send a lot more helpful information and throw some encouraging stuff in there with it, and then still make offers but make them far less, you're going to do much, much better with this. Number two, you want to be an advocate of certain positions and have them accepted and embraced by your perfect prospects. Listen, you're not just trying to sell stuff and get a client or a fan or keep a client here. You want people to buy your positions and your beliefs. Let me give you an example. Direct response marketing is superior to brand advertising, otherwise known as image advertising. That needs to remain consistent throughout your communication. So if you've got certain stances and beliefs, core beliefs that you really believe in, you want to make sure that you include that in your communications. Another one, ugly advertising is better than pretty advertising. How about this? Hard work is better than being lazy. I'm an advocate for hard work. I'm an advocate for advertising, and therefore I'm going to continually mention it, weave it into my communications. All of them, whether it's my blog posts, whether it's my podcasts, whether it's emails that I send out, whether it's videos I create, those things are interwoven into all of my communications. So getting people to accept the positions you stand for is extremely, extremely important when it comes to keeping your clients, your customers, and your patients. Is extremely, extremely important, and you should be doing that right now. Number three, keep in mind, remember that you're still trying to sell stuff, right? So the fact that we're in a pandemic and that most people, a lot of people, whatever it is, some people, I don't know, depends on your situation, aren't spending money, you still got to make offers. You still have to try to sell stuff. So beyond getting people to buy, getting people to interact with you is one of the toughest things that you're going to be charged with doing. Listen, I've been doing this for over 25 years now. And I want to point something out to you lest you get discouraged. You're never going to get 100% involvement or response from the people who have given you money. Your clients, your customers, your patients. So right now, you may have people who love you. Before all this started, they were very involved with you in your business, highly engaged, And now you're sending communications to them and they're unresponsive. Don't be discouraged by that. Listen, no matter how much money they've given you, unless you sit with them and you make them respond to you, like in a live seminar where, as an example, I say, okay, here's a sheet, fill this out. We're not moving on until you fill this out. You're not in that position right now. I'm not in that position right now. And right now, we have less control over our tribes, over our clients, customers, and patients than at any time in my life. So if your clients, especially your best clients, don't get all excited about the stuff that you're sending them, if they're not responding to your offers right now, know that that's normal. That's normal for all of us, not just you. It's happening to all of us. Yes, we're all in business to make a profit on purpose, but keeping clients in your tribe so that after this mess subsides, right, they're going to start buying your stuff again is really, really important right now. So I want you to understand something. Understand that loyalty is more important than influence. And right now, that's what you're gunning for. Yes, a lot of you guys are hurting for cash. I understand that. In light of that fact, you want these people to be there when business picks up again. So if you're fortunate enough that your business survives, when things start to pick up again, you want to make sure that your clients, your customers, your patients are right there for you when the rubber meets the road. Clients may not have money to spend right now. Like literally, they're barely hanging on. And what's critical to your future success is creating, building, and growing loyalty. And you're going to do that with the content you send out right now. There's nothing more important than loyalty. Listen, when all this clears up, you want to have people wearing your scout uniform, so to speak, and dragging people back to you. You want to have people fighting for you like soccer fans in the Premier League do, right, in England. Those passionate, crazy people who are willing to brawl with people who root for the wrong team. So you want people talking and thinking about you right now, and you can create that by the quality of content that you're sending out as part of this plan that I've suggested to you over the last 3 weeks. Number 4, and lastly, for a lot of us, pre-pandemic, getting clients was easy. Keeping them is another challenge in and of itself. Retention. Even if your clients or your customers, your patients are not in a position to give you money right now, or they're not giving you as much as they were, you want to be sending out these communications. You want to do what's necessary so that they're going to stay with you. And the ones that can spend money with you right now, they're going to spend money with you right now, right? And for the ones that can't spend money right now, you're going to have a much better chance of having them come back and spend money with you later when things return to normal. Yes, unfortunately, some people, a lot of people I fear, are going to be out of business because of this whole pandemic, right? And unfortunately, I am thoroughly convinced that a lot of people who actually survived the initial shutdown are going to find that when we start coming out of this pandemic, right, people start spending money again, that many people in their tribe have actually left them, and they've left them because that particular business owner, that professional, the dentist, the consultant, the chiropractor, the marketing guy, they didn't invest the time to stay in touch with their tribe, with their prospects. They didn't keep touching them with killer content while all this was going on. And while that's bad, obviously, what's going to happen is that all of you that do keep in touch with your tribe and your prospects, all of you who do continue delivering value to them during this time are going to find that you end up getting a lot of new business when the rubber meets the road, right? When all this starts to end and we come out of this, you're going to find that you're going to get a lot of new business that you didn't expect. Why? Because of the people that you took care of, the people you touched, the people you stayed in communication with during this time without hammering them all the time about selling your stuff, right? You provided value, let them know you cared, let them know you were thinking about them. What's going to happen? They're going to go out and tell people they know, and you're going to get a lot of the other guys' clients, the guys who didn't invest the time to do what I'm telling you to do right now. So, Robin, in response to your email, let me just say this. You want to be touching all of these points on a consistent basis when communicating on purpose. Now, I've had several people ask me what they could do to try to increase sales, to try to generate revenue while this whole mess is going on. Well, the facts are clear, but we're now solidly in a recession as a result of coronavirus. So what can we do to help ourselves sell more stuff? One of the ways you can help yourself sell a lot more stuff is by having outcome-based video testimonials of clients, customers, or patients that are absolutely thrilled and delighted to have worked with you. In times like these when there's a recession, people are spending far less money, and so the competition becomes much, much greater. And so what you need is something that's going to set you apart and differentiate you and put you above the competition to make you rise to the top and become the first and obvious choice for those individuals who are going to be willing to spend money no matter what the economy. Outcome-based video testimonials that create social proof is exactly what will take you there. Another reason that you want to incorporate the social proof selling model into your business using video testimonials is that eventually people are going to start buying again. Slowly at first, obviously, but they're going to start spending money. And again, if you want to be the obvious choice, if you want to rise above the competition and stand out in the marketplace, think about this. You got business number one over here, business number two over here. If all else being equal or perceived to be equal, except one business, business A, has dozens and dozens and dozens of videos with their clients who have given testimonials, the right kind of testimonials. That's why I keep using the phrase outcome-based. And there's a science and there's a way to get those, which we'll talk about in just a bit. Which company is going to stand out? Company A, the one that's saying how good they are, saying they've been in business for 30 years, and company B says the same thing. What's the differentiator between the two? Well, company A has got dozens and dozens and dozens of their clients, their customers, or their patients saying, hey, listen, this was our experience. As an example, let's say these two companies were dental practices, right? You got everything else about them seemingly is equal, except doctor number one in his practice or her practice has dozens of testimonials where patients might say, as an example, in one of the testimonials, listen, I used to be afraid to go to the dentist. I had terrible experiences at the dentist. In fact, it had been 2 years since I went to the dentist. And then my friend Mary told me about Dr. Smith. So I went to Dr. Smith. I was very hesitant to go to Dr. Smith, but I went to Dr. Smith. I was very, very scared. Be honest with you, I was terrified. But then after talking with Dr. Smith, and Dr. Smith worked on me, actually filled 2 cavities, right? Did composite restorations, didn't hurt me. I'm no longer afraid to go to the dentist. In fact, I will never be afraid to go to the dentist again as long as that dentist is Dr. Smith. Well, if Dr. Smith has testimonials like that, or listen, Dr. Smith did a total smile makeover on me. It was much more affordable than I ever dreamed possible. It was seamless. It was fast. The results are unbelievable. Since having that work done, I found the love of my life and I've gotten a dream job. And I can tell you with the greatest degree of certainty, it's because of the increased confidence that I have. In fact, I've never had this much confidence, and I owe it all to Dr. Smith. So you have all these different testimonials and all the different ways that people can say, this is why I love Dr. Smith. And then you have Dr. Jones over here, that's business number 2, with no video testimonials, with no social proof. When people finally start spending money, and they will, and even during the heart of the recession when people are spending money but much, much, much less, right? We're all facing that now. Who do you think they're going to choose? Business A, business 1, the person that has all the testimonials, people doing the selling for them. So the patients in this case, when I use the dental example, the patients are doing the selling for the doctor or selling for the business. The clients are doing the selling for your business. Or business number 2, in my example, practice number 2, right? He's doing the selling or she's doing the selling for themselves. Which one's going to be the obvious choice? Well, the vast majority of time, I don't even need to ask you the question. You know the answer. It's going to be the person that has all the social proof, outcome-based video testimonials. Well, Ken, that sounds great. I'm on board with that 100%. Problem is, Ken, I don't have any video testimonials of my clients or my patients right now. And we're all in this social distancing. We're all isolated. We're all locked down. Right now, I'm 50 feet underground, deep in the bunker, right? I am in the zombie-proof bunker doing my podcast. Actually, I'm not 50 feet underground, but you get the point. I am safely tucked away in my house. How in the world could I possibly get video testimonials from my clients or my customers or my patients now that we're on lockdown? You ever hear Zoom? You ever hear Skype? You ever hear of an iPhone doing FaceTime and recording it? I mean, there's a bazillion ways to get videos, but there's a scientific process. There is a method to get the best, most effective video testimonials possible. There's a system to doing this. So there's no excuse not to do them. Right now, in fact, would be a perfect time to get them because of the fact that everybody's at home. And so if the thought of using outcome-based video testimonials in your business sounds good to you, and if you'd like to know more about this, and if you'd like to learn more about how you can incorporate this in your business, I've actually created 2 videos for you as part of a campaign that I'm doing to create interest in a new training that I'll be doing, a live training called Social Proof Profits. Now, the first 2 videos you can actually watch. There's nothing for sale in the video. In fact, the course is not for sale. You couldn't buy the course now, the live training, Social Proof Profits. You couldn't buy that now if you wanted to because it's not for sale. All I'm doing now is trying to generate interest and seeing if there's going to be enough interest in doing this training or not. So the 2 videos that I created are literally the old social proof outcome-based video testimonial system that I used to sell for $997 with one caveat. I've made it better and improved it and re-recorded all of it. So it's all brand new with new research and new data in it. It's about 1 hour and 20 minutes between the 2 videos, but there's nothing for sale in these 2 videos. You don't have to buy anything. I'm not pitching you to buy anything whatsoever. You couldn't buy anything if you wanted to. So if you want to learn how to get outcome-based video testimonials and incorporate them in your business, go to kennewhouse.com, top of the page, click on the link, the big blue button, and watch the videos. And you will learn how to capture outcome-based. You'll learn about cameras, you'll learn about lighting, you'll learn about questioning, how to create your questions, what type of questions to ask, how to approach your clients, your customers, or your patients, and to ask them to do a testimonial in a way that's pleasing and cool to them, in a way that's not going to be upsetting or offensive or anything like that, in a way where they're going to actually be eager and ready to help you. So if you want to learn those things, go to my website and watch the videos. All right, guys, now that I've responded to Robin's email, if you're ready, let's go ahead and welcome Margie Feldhoen from Interview Connections in on the show. Let's roll. Okay, everybody, this is Ken Newhouse, and I've got Margie Feldhoen with us today from Interview Connections. And Margie, I've already gone through your bio in the introduction, so on behalf of myself and members of the Get Clients Now Nation, I want to welcome you to the show. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much, Ken. I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
So we're both holed up safe and secure in our bunkers.
Yes.
Margie's got a 50 caliber machine gun and several German Shepherds protecting her in the bunker there. So anyway, Margie, let's do this. I got a couple questions that I ask everybody, and then we'll dig into the meat and potatoes here in just a second. But if you could, take a couple of minutes, like 2 or 3 minutes, give us your backstory. So how did you get from college or wherever to doing what you're doing now? Because I know you guys have worked with a lot of, and I know you have a business partner in the company, and I don't know her name. I forgot her name, but you guys have worked with a lot of, I would say, very famous people as clients. You've had some really top-notch people as clients. So give us your backstory and let us know what we need to know for the interview today.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start when I graduated from college in 2011. I had double majored in art and Latin because those are what I wanted to study and I was interested in. And then, not surprisingly, when I got out of college, I found I could not get a job with those majors. So I went on Craigslist. I was 22 and I found a job doing door-to-door fundraising for the environment. And unsurprisingly, they would hire basically anyone because they have such high turnover in jobs like that. So I went to the interview, and the woman who interviewed me, who was like a year older, so she was like 23, was my now business partner, Jess. So nice. Yeah, so we met at Clean Water Action as door-to-door fundraisers, and door-to-door sales is the best entrepreneurial training you could possibly get.
Hands down. Yeah, absolutely agree.
I am so grateful for that experience. And it was funny when I started doing the job and realized I was really good at it. And at the time, I didn't have the long-term vision of how useful it was. So I was like, oh, great. Like, this is like such a dead-end burnout job. And like, this is what I'm really good at. And then it ended up being great. So Jess and I connected at Clean Water Action. And then I left. I wanted to travel. I moved around a lot. I lived in Asia for 2 years as an English teacher. So we kind of went our separate ways. And Jess had kids, had a family, and founded Interview Connections in 2013, which was the first ever business of this kind. She really created the podcast booking model. No one else was doing this niche service of booking people as guests on podcasts. She founded that. And then we ended up reconnecting on Facebook. My dad actually passed away and I needed people. Thank you. I needed people to come foster his pets because I didn't have a place for them to go. And Jess ended up taking his cat and adopting him. So her and her family adopted this cat, and that's how we reconnected. And I started out as a contractor booking agent for Interview Connections in 2016. I became the first employee of the business in 2017 and equal co-owner in 2018. So it's been a wild ride.
Good for you. Good for you. That's I'm sorry about your dad.
Thank you.
That's like my biggest fear is losing one of my children and both of my parents. My dad's 81 and my mom's 79, but they're on lockdown right now. And so when my sisters or I bring them anything, we bring it over and we either put it in their shed. They got one of those real nice sheds that looks like a house, but we put it in there. And if we talk to them, we'll either do like video chat or like yesterday, I stood outside of their kitchen outside in the garage and talked to them through the screen in the door while they sat back just a bit. And so it's hard for them, I know, but you know, that's that's something that I think about every day is eventually my parents aren't going to be here. And how do you prepare for something like that? I don't know. So I feel for you in that regard. It's unfortunate, but it's awesome that you hooked up with Jess, and that's one of my nieces, Jess. That's her name as well. So I like the name. But let me ask you this question if I could, and then we'll kind of dive into the meat of the interview, because I know you got a lot of great information that's going to help a lot of people today. Has there been a book or like an individual who really inspired you, who really helped you get where you are now? Sometimes people, like, you just mentioned your dad. Some people say, yeah, it was my dad. He's very supportive and he really encouraged me. Some people will say it was my second grade teacher. Other people will say, hey, it was this really cool book I read when I was younger. Some people say it's my faith, whatever it is. Is there anything that comes to mind that you can think of that would help us get a better understanding of what really drives you and what motivates you?
Yes, I would say that it is my dad, but probably for different reasons than people normally would say. So my dad and I were really close. And much like you just said, my parents dying truly was my greatest fear. I'm an only child. I'm really close with both my parents. And when I was living as an English teacher in Asia, I got news from my mom that my dad had died by suicide. And it was totally unexpected. We were very close. And that really changed my life in many ways, and changed who I was. My dad was also a hoarder. He was a very successful lawyer. He was brilliant. He was funny, but he had these obvious mental health issues going on kind of behind closed doors. And when he died, I moved home from Asia and I spent 5 months cleaning out my parents' house, which was this incredible project that so many people told me was not possible. There was no way I could do it. I especially couldn't do it in the 5-month timeline that I had. And accomplishing that project really was my first business. That was a startup, and I didn't know it at the time, but it was something that people said was impossible. I needed to fight through it every single day. I needed to learn quickly how to hire the right experts to do different aspects of that project. And really, I got my entire life and my entire career out of that project.
Wow, that's I don't have any words to say other than just, man, that is a rough way to go. But thankfully, you're here now, and I'm sure that experience has been forever imprinted into your mind. Both positive lessons and things you've taken from that. Plus, I'm sure you maybe even learned more about your dad than you knew before because of this experience. But that is that's an experience, I have to tell you. So I don't know how to respond to that other than, wow, that takes a lot of courage, and there's a lot to be said for that. So that actually, I don't know. I just have instant respect for you that I didn't have before. Not that I disrespected you, but this actually, the more you get to know somebody when you're interviewing them, you know this, or when you're interacting with them. I commented earlier how you look so young, but now, yeah, you look so young, which is great. But at the same time, now I see you as this super mature, super on top of it person. I know more about you. I know your business is rocking out. You guys are doing a great job. But now as an individual, this really says a lot about your character to be able to move forward like this. So if we could, let's, one other question I have, and I want to make sure I heard this correct on your website. Did I hear you say on your website when I watched one of your videos, Jess has children. You don't have children yet, but you have a blind dog. Is that a true story? Tell us about this dog you have, and what's his name or her name, and tell us about your dog.
Yes, I do. So my dog's name is Harold. I am really passionate about animal rescue. And so I run fundraisers for different organizations locally. And I also am really passionate about adopting senior and special needs animals. So I have 2 cats and a dog. And Harold, I got him a year ago. He is a really grumpy senior Maltese. So he's like a tiny, angry little cotton ball, and he's totally blind. He's got like the toughest personality ever. They found him on the streets in like North Philly, this like tiny little dog, and he's amazing. I Absolutely love him, and he makes me laugh every single day. I love pets, and I think rescuing pets and having pets, especially now during quarantine, but all the time, really adds so much to people's lives.
They do. They really do. I'm a dog lover. My daughters are cat lovers. I'm a horse person myself. So,
cool.
Yeah, I love horses. I do. So let's do this. I bet your cats give him a hard time, don't they?
They have an interesting dynamic. He is smaller than both of the cats, but they all do get along pretty well. The cats have some issues with each other, and I think Harold sees himself as like the cat sheriff, because he'll like intervene if they're not getting along and like growl at them, even though he's not quite sure where they are because he's blind.
That's great. That's great. So let's do this. Let's talk about the benefits. And right now, considering the fact that you're in your bunker, I'm in mine, we're all doing social distancing, and people may listen to this podcast, and I'm sure they will somewhere down the road when, in fact, this is all well and good behind us, which at some point here, I think it will be sooner than a lot of us think. But having said that, where we are now is where we are. And so one of the best things I think a business owner could do at this point in time is make the highest and best use of the circumstance that they're in. And one of the things that we can do, I've got the benefit of having a show and a long list of guests and a long list of people who are contacting me to be on the show. And I absolutely love this. I do. I don't know that I loved it as much as being a chiropractor, but it's rapidly getting to the point where I love doing this because I get to engage with people. And that's one of the things that I love to really, I think the most practicing for 17 years was being with patients every day, being with people, hearing different stories. And so for me, I really, really love what I do. And I know a lot of the guests that come on benefit tremendously. And I know you can share similar stories that people who are, whether they're a serial guest on a podcast or they're just going from a couple shows or maybe even one show, they're going to benefit tremendously from being the guest. So if we could, let's talk about some of the things, some of the benefits of being on a podcast. And then we'll talk about, okay, well, can you do this on your own? Yeah, but you're not looked at nearly the same as if you have someone who is used to doing this. This is what they do for a living. So there's a process that we go through. It's like if you went to another country and you didn't speak the language, you would have a lot more difficult time integrating into the culture than if you had someone like Margie, who's fluent in probably a whole bunch of different languages, but fluent in the podcast world, who could say, hey, listen here, I've got this person here, and then it's seamless. So we'll get into that in just a minute. But what about a person who wants to kind of share their expertise and like get broader distribution within a given marketplace? What are your thoughts on, let's start with the benefits. Let's start with that one, and then we can just kind of play back and forth as we roll through this.
There are so many benefits to being a guest on podcasts. Obviously, like you said, now it's more important than ever to be leveraging virtual speaking opportunities and getting out in front of your target audience as much as possible. But even, when we're no longer in quarantine, it's such an incredible way to build trust because people have such short attention spans. There's so many ads that we're hit with all the time. But the experience of really listening to someone for 30 minutes to an hour share their story and really getting to know them on a deeper level, the people who are drawn to you aren't going to be shopping around and looking at your competitors, which during a recession could not be more important. They get the value that you have because they've heard you speak and they just want you. And that is such an incredible thing to have. And especially on a large scale, we book our clients on 4 shows a month, every month for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. So they're constantly getting out there in front of new audiences.
And this works for individuals and business owners and professionals who are not only in a local market, or let me rephrase that. This not only works for people who are in a broader market. So like me, most of my reach admittedly is in the United States and Canada. I do have some people that I work with over in Europe, but as a general rule, mostly like local. For me, think about that. Local means the United States, but for most people, for a lot of people, in fact, who listen to this show, they're professionals. They're dentists, they're chiropractors, they're consultants. Most of these people, about half the people that listen to the show, they got a brick and mortar business. They got a place they go to. And so for them, a local market could be the town they live in or within a certain radius or distance from their practice or their office. And so this is a strategy that not only works for people on an international or across the, like a national level, but it also works. It's really a very powerful strategy for people who own a local business. Does that seem to be ringing true in your experience as well?
It's very powerful to build your thought leadership as even a local business owner. And it's an incredibly powerful first step to taking your business online in some capacity. So for people who have a brick and mortar who want to start doing something virtually online, which has never felt more urgent, podcast guesting is a really great way to start making that move. As far as targeting geolocal clients, we wouldn't necessarily recommend podcast guesting for that, just because it's not easy to target specific states in the US with a podcast. You've got listeners from all over the country, all over the world tuning in to these podcasts, which is a really, really good thing. But if you're limited to only work in person and you're only looking for clients within your state or your area of the US, there probably wouldn't be enough shows that were just targeting them, but it would still be a great strategy to build your brand, build your thought leadership, take your business more virtual, and it provides incredible social proof. So even if you were just getting out there so that people locally, when they Google you, they see all these podcast interviews that you've done. So they weren't necessarily members of the audience of that show originally, but now they found your interview online when they looked you up, and it builds so much social proof, and they have an opportunity to get to know you on a different level.
Bingo. I am so glad you said that, because I'm like, wait a minute. It doesn't matter if the audience locally can't hear them live on the podcast, because they're going to be using that for social proof. So the shows you do, so even if you're on a show, let's say I'm west of St. Louis, and so let's say that I'm on I was just on Dr. Mike Neal's show a couple weeks back. He's in West Virginia, up in the mountains, in the sticks. Who's going to listen to my show in West Virginia, up in the mountains in the sticks? Hopefully no one. But the point is that he's deep and well connected in the field of optometry. And I haven't worked with optometrists, but they contacted me and want me to help them doing some stuff with specifically social proof. And so social proof, yeah, absolutely. So if you got a brick and mortar business in your local, it absolutely makes all kinds of sense. Who cares if the people listening to the podcast at that exact moment? Because like Margie just said, you're going to take the video and the audio, you're going to dump that obviously on your website. You're going to dump it all over social media, and there's a strategy to do that. You guys help people with that as well? With the distribution or just the booking?
So we book them on the shows, and then we do a lot of training and consulting on leveraging the podcast. So we don't repurpose the content for them, but we have a ton of trainings for our clients on how to repurpose their interviews and send them to someone on their marketing team or their VA and have them crank out all this great content. And they just had to show up for the interview, deliver their genius, and then they're done. And that can be repurposed by someone else on their team.
Okay, and so just real quick, you had mentioned to me earlier that you guys have a Facebook coaching group. You have like a private membership area in Facebook. So what is that? And I want to get that now, and then we'll give it again at the end, and then we'll put it in the show notes. But how would someone participate in that or get signed up for that? It's obviously free, correct? But how would a person get involved with that?
Yeah, so we have a free Facebook community called the Guest Expert Profit Lab, and my business partner Jess and I are really passionate about this group. We are in there every single week doing live trainings on different subjects. So right now we're doing a lot about recession proofing your business with podcast guesting and leveraging podcast guesting for virtual networking during quarantine. So we keep it really topical. That's why we do it live. And it is a group that is for multi-six-figure and above entrepreneurs. So we're very specific about that. It is a free group, but we have the conversation at a certain level that it really is for well-established entrepreneurs who are interested in leveraging the strategy. And because we're so particular with who the audience is in the group and how we're delivering the trainings, it's a really valuable networking opportunity as well, because we find that the people in that group are great potential clients and referral partners for each other. So in addition to the trainings, there's a great aspect of community in there, which I know we all need. So For anyone who's a multi-six-figure or above entrepreneur who wants to leverage podcast guesting as a strategy to grow their brand, you can text GROUP to 38470, and that will give you the link to request to join the Facebook group.
Okay, and then also we'll, like I said, we'll mention that again at the end of the show, and then I'll put that in the show notes as well.
Awesome.
And so just one thing I want to mention, guys. This is not an opportunity for you to come in and start pitching your stuff and being obnoxious. Go in and deliver value and help and listen, but don't go in to pitch your stuff. And I know that you probably wouldn't do that. Otherwise, I try to offend those kind of people so they don't listen to my show, because nobody likes somebody who wants to come in and just try to take advantage of an opportunity they've been given. It's not open season to come in and take somebody's group and just try to pirate everything in there. So be a good guest and be a good representative of the nation. So anyway, what are some of the other benefits that you can think of that are relevant to the people listening? Why would I, as an example, let's pretend like I don't have a show, but let's pretend like I'm a consultant or whatever. What are some of the important benefits? Yes, we're in the middle of coronavirus. Yes, we're sequestered. Yes, we're doing social distancing. Yes, I have an online business, but wow, there's like 1 million podcasts now just on iTunes. Is it really going to make that big of a difference? What are some of the benefits for me being on the show? What if, why would I want to do that?
That's a great question. In addition to the social proof and getting out there in front of so many new audiences, so you're generating so many leads for your business, we also find that the high-end networking aspect is incredible. Our clients connect with these hosts, and a lot of them really hit it off, and they end up working together or, forming affiliate partnerships. So we find that the networking with the hosts is so valuable. And we even had a client who he had been a guest on a show, and the host loved him. They had a great conversation. He reached out to him with this opportunity and invited him to speak at the YouTube headquarters, which was a crazy possibility and opportunity that when he signed up with us, we couldn't have said, well, one of the benefits you'll get to speak at YouTube HQ. But this is the magic that happens through these relationships that get built between our clients and the hosts that they're talking to and connecting with. And then another obvious benefit is SEO. Every time someone's on a podcast, they're getting a backlink to their website in the show notes, and those really start to add up. Interview Connections has really strong SEO, and the only thing that we've done to improve our SEO is getting out on hundreds and hundreds of podcasts, so we have so many backlinks to our website out there.
Okay, so let's do this. I want to ask you a couple questions. First, I noticed on your website, and this is something I got coming up here in the future. I just wanted to say this. It's not in my notes, so I want to say this before I forget. One of the big things that I train people on is social proof, and I just took a training and I redid the entire training. It's how to use video testimonials for social proof. And I noticed on your website, you guys got a lot of great, like heavy duty people who are giving you their testimonial, their thumbs up recommendations. But unless I missed it, I didn't see any on video. So what I want to do now, I've got the training. I'm going to send you the links for free. You've given your time. I want to give back to you as my way of saying thanks and then recommend your business and endorse it. But at the same time, I'm going to give you the links. I'll send you the links first to the training. And this part is free, but also to the part at the end of that is going to be a 6-week live training I do. I'm going to give you attendance for that as well. So you or Jess, but that way you can get social proof, like video testimonials. There's a specific process to go through to get them, because video, as you well know, is the creme de la creme online, because some people, go figure, will actually create fake testimonials. Obviously, yours are legit because no one would put the names of like these famous people. So I wanted to ask you before that, who are some of these famous people? I noticed them, but I didn't write them down. You've got several on there, like Allie. I know the name, but I don't really know what she's done. But just rattle off a couple of the names of the people that you guys have worked with, because it's a pretty big deal, something to be proud of for sure.
Sure. Thank you so much. So first of all, thank you. I would love that. We do a lot of social proof and video testimonials within our Facebook group. So we have a lot of clients who have gone live in the group, and then those videos are in the units of the group talking about their ROI and their experience. But we would definitely love to add more. So that would be great. Let's see, to name drop some people, we have worked with a lot of people over the last 7 years. Allie Brown, as you mentioned, who is incredible. We've booked her on podcasts, and she has a great show herself, Glambition Radio. We've worked with JJ Virgin. We've worked with some big brands like Adam and Eve. So a lot of diverse industries, definitely.
Nice. Okay, so could we do this? Could you give us, let's say that we've got someone out there who's like, okay, well, I'm kind of sold on the idea of being on a podcast. Ken says it's a great idea. I've been listening to his show for a while. Allie, Margie seems like she's totally legit, but I'm still not sold on hiring somebody to do this. But I would like to maybe try this on my own. So what I would like to do is, can you rattle off 3 or 4 different steps a person could take to get booked on a podcast so they can try this themselves, so that once they see how hard this really is, okay, because there's enough evidence, there's a preponderance of evidence online that demonstrates, that proves beyond the shadow of a doubt that being a podcast guest and doing the things that Margie's talking about now is like one of the smartest things you could do for your business. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But listen, her company is like the first one that ever started doing this. So could you rattle off 3 or 4 steps that are kind of involved in this and maybe just expand on each one of those just a little bit?
Absolutely. So before you start even researching shows, because there's over 700,000 shows on iTunes, it's a lot of shows. So that's a big number to try and pare down to figure out which shows are going to be the right fit for you. So first, you want to get really clear on what your goals are for podcast guesting and who your target audience is. You want to be crystal clear so you're not throwing spaghetti at a wall when you start your show research. Once you have clarity on that, we recommend having a one sheet. We make them for all of our clients, and it's just a 1-page PDF with their headshot, their bio, suggested topics, suggested questions, everything to make it really easy for a host to say yes to them and also to do the interview and have some questions to work with. So once you get crystal clear on that stuff and you have your one sheet,
Can I throw something in real quick? Not to interrupt, but so I want to throw this question in before I forget. So you mentioned that step 1, kind of figure out what your goals would be. Could you just quickly mention like 2 or 3 possible goals, like examples somebody might have? Because the person who's listening to this might say, well, gee, I don't know what my goals would be. Most people would say, I want to get new clients or new customers or new patients, but you've got to clarify it better than that and break it down, because there are certain steps that you have to accomplish in order to get new clients, customers, and patients from being on a podcast as a guest. So could you give us like 2 or 3 examples in that first step, and then we'll jump back into where we just were?
Yep. So some of our clients have a goal for getting more speaking engagements, obviously less so now, but so they're leveraging their podcasts, interviews, and their relationships with the host to get more speaking invitations. So then we would target those shows for people who are connected to conferences and places that would be a good fit for them to speak. Some people have the goal of backlinks and SEO. And for those people, we use Moz to just get the Moz rating for the websites of the shows and then pitch them to hosts who have a show with the Moz ranking that they're looking for. And then obviously, like you said, getting clients. So when someone comes to us and says, my goal is to get more clients, first we'll get really clear on who their clients are and what the lifetime value of their clients are and how they work with them to determine if this is going to be a good strategy. Generally, if you're going for a low-priced, high-volume type of situation, we wouldn't necessarily recommend podcast guesting. But for service-based entrepreneurs who especially work with people virtually, and each client is worth multi-thousands of dollars, this is an incredible bang for your buck in terms of ROI from new clients.
Okay, that's awesome. That brings a lot of clarity, because I know some people are going to be listening to this who this is, we got a lot of professional people and a lot of, unfortunately, a lot of businesses right now, especially, I read so much stuff. I've got, I write for Dental Town. That's one of the other things. And I have a huge amount of traffic. I probably have more traffic on Dental Town over the last 10 years, close to 2 million article views on the platform. It's just for dentists and people who sell to dentists, people who work with dentists. So there's over 500,000 people on the platform, but a lot of these people simply have been shut down. And this is a strategy. This is a long-term play. I want to get back into our bulleted list we were just kind of walking through, but this is, yes, it's a long-term play, but at the same time, once this takes off, this could be like huge very, very quickly. And so given the fact, like you said, Margie, we're sequestered, you're in your bunker, you know, you got the 50 caliber machine gun, you got the guard dogs, and you got that blind dog that's the ultimate attack killer. And then the 2 cats, obviously, and I'm in my bunker. And so people are separated. This is a strategy you guys should be working on right now. Like I've mentioned in multiple shows, if you can't go in and see your clients, customers, and patients, or if you're not working with them virtually and you have free time on your hands, don't sulk, don't cry. Work on your business, make it better. Do what you can. This is a strategy that I'm suggesting. I won't beg you, but I am strongly suggesting that you implement this. I've got the benefit of doing my own show. Margie's got the benefit of doing what she's doing, but we're both telling you this is something that you definitely want to consider and something you want to follow up with. So having said that, let's quickly dive back in. We mentioned a couple of the reasons why you want to be on there. You create your one sheet, and then what was that third and fourth step? What were those third and fourth steps you were going to give us?
Yeah. So once you're clear on your goals for podcasting, who your target audience is that you're reaching, and you have your one sheet, that's when you would start researching shows. There is not one database that I really love for finding podcasts. There are a few that are okay. You can search Apple Podcasts, but it's kind of so-so. Listennotes.com is a decent resource. We have obviously a huge internal database of all our connections over 7 years. But if you didn't have access to that database, we also have 2 full-time show researchers who are full-time employees, and all they're doing is finding new shows for our clients and adding them to our database. So you want to either look at Listen Notes or Apple Podcasts. You can also Google and search for shows that are a good fit based on your expertise. So you would be a good fit and deliver value to their audience that are also going to be a good fit for you. So they're targeted towards your target audience. So if I work with 7 and 8 figure entrepreneurs, booking them on podcasts, I wouldn't go on a show that's for people who are just starting their business, even though they might find the interview helpful. That would not be speaking to my target audience. So you want to find and research at least, I would say, 20 shows that are going to be a good fit for you and your goals, and make sure that they do interviews. Like, do your research, because it's really frustrating for solo shows to get guest pitches because it feels like you're not paying attention. So do your research, check the show out, make sure it's actually a good fit and that you have value to offer the show, because that's the most important thing. And then connect with them on social media, and you can send them a DM or send them an email pitch and really lead with value and show what you want to give to their audience in terms of good content. Do not make it about you and selling your book, or they won't like it. And this podcasting community is all about giving. And I think people outside the community might not get that, and they come in a little salesy and a little pitchy. You want to be totally serve first, lead with the value.
Man, I got to tell you, you just doled out some hardcore, super high level stuff. Guys, listen to what she's telling you, because one of the things that I preach to you guys, listen, when you go to someone and you want to work with them, whether it's a joint venture partner, as you want to be on their show, whatever, never go with your hand out empty saying, hey, what can you do for me? Okay, you got to come with something in your hand to give to them first. That's just common sense. And so many people, I get hammered with people who want to be on my show, and even with you. I mean, I should have known better. This is what you do for a living, but I just don't take it for granted. What's the first thing I said in my note to you? I asked you to be on my show. I said, hey, listen, just as long as, don't come on and pitch. Come deliver value, okay? You have been like the consummate perfect podcast guest. Girl, I got to tell you, I say this with the utmost respect. I am so, I don't even know you, and I am so proud of you. You're doing such a great job. I love the fact I am a high-level marketer, and I can tell you guys right now, this girl, and I'm sure her business partner knows just as much, this lady knows what she's doing, guys. She is hardcore, high-level stuff. So that kind of stuff really jazzes me and gets me excited, because sometimes I have a guest on and I'm having these great expectations and these real high-level expectations of what they're going to do and what they know. And I am underwhelmed a lot of times. But I got to tell you, this has been we're not done yet, but I am pleasantly surprised. And I'm very proud of the fact that you know what you're doing, like way at a higher level, at a much higher level than I even suspected based on what I did in my research and I found with you. So keep doing what you're doing, and you're there. So we're
Thank
never
you
there,
so much.
but you're doing a great job, and I say that with the utmost respect. And so, okay, so let's talk about this. So you've given us some examples. You just said something, I just want to clarify it, and I'm asking this because I know some people heard what you said, but they were maybe confused. So you said if you approach a solo show, you don't want to go through the headache of approaching them when it may not be a good fit. And so explain that if you could. And I think what you meant maybe is that, hey, this guy just does a talking head show. It's just him or her. They don't ever have guests. Is that what you were meaning with that, with respect to that?
Yes. So one of the things we have is sometimes we'll have people come to us and be like, okay, here's the shows I want you to pitch. And they've just kind of grabbed the top 10 shows on iTunes. And the majority of them are solo podcasts. They don't have an interview format. And you pitching a show that clearly doesn't do interviews and has never done interviews is a bad move because it shows the host that you didn't do any research. So there are very rare exceptions when it is appropriate to reach out to a solo show, as long as you acknowledge, I understand that this is a solo podcast and that you never have guests, but I want to propose a bonus episode because this is how I think I could serve your audience. And you can do it that way as long as you acknowledge it. But for the most part, don't pitch a solo show. And it just comes back to doing your research and making sure that you're showing the proper respect to the show when you're reaching out.
Unfortunately, a lot of people are lazy and they just don't do the work, which is another reason, guys, to get a hold of Margie or Jess and let them help you out. So let me ask you this. Do you work with, you guys work with dentists or other professionals like chiropractors or MDs as guests very often? Because I have to tell you, I think you're totally prepared because some of these dentists can get kind of grumpy, but you got a blind dog that's got a bad attitude, so I'm not worried about you being able to handle the grumpy ones. But do you ever, and I'm not trying to pick on dentists, I'm just trying to have a little tongue-in-cheek fun here, but Margie, do you guys ever work with professional people like that, or are this mostly online entrepreneurs you're working with, or is it kind of a good mix of all the above?
Good question. We do primarily work with online entrepreneurs. A lot of them do have a brick and mortar aspect to their business too, but they have some type of virtual component that they're leveraging, either an online community that they want to grow, or they have some type of service that they can do online. So we do work with, professionals like that, but it would be very important what their goals were, because if someone came to me and their goal was to get more people into their brick and mortar practice and they wanted those people to be in the audience of these shows already, we would ask some more questions to make sure that their expectations were aligned properly with how the strategy would work. But if they wanted social proof and they just wanted to grow their thought leadership in the industry, then this would be a good strategy for them.
Okay. A couple more questions. We're doing okay on time?
Yeah.
Okay. So in the Facebook group, let's say that somebody wants to join. Is this going to be just a whole bunch of podcasters like Ken? Is it going to be a whole bunch of people like Ken in there? Or is it going to be people who want to get on shows? Or is it a mix of both where they can kind of find each other? Or which would almost, to me as a business person, seem like it's undercutting your ability to make money if you've got a mix of both in there. Like if you got somebody who's a podcaster who's looking for guests and you have guests who are talking to the podcasters, it would almost seem like you're cannibalizing the platform, the Facebook, even though you guys are trying to help people out for free genuinely, that there might be some cannibalization that occurs in there, but just, I don't even know if that's a possibility. So
good question. So it's a great group and it's a very respectful group, and we don't have like really strict community guidelines and rules for the group. It really is just the energy of everyone is really great. It's primarily entrepreneurs. It's all multi-six-figure and above entrepreneurs who are interested in leveraging podcasting as a guest expert. A lot of them do also host a show, because we found that we get people who have a show and they want to guest on other shows to grow their audience, or our clients will start off guesting on other shows, and then once they get really familiar with the platform and the different styles, they'll start their own podcast in addition to guesting on other shows.
I've never heard that before. At least I don't remember hearing it, but that's a really, really good strategy. I didn't think about that. I jumped in 2 feet in when somebody asked me after a speaking engagement, why don't you have a podcast? I mean, you're doing all these webinars and things like that. I'm like, well, why don't I have a podcast? So anyway, One more. You got time for one more question before I
Yeah.
ask you about your own promotional stuff? Okay, so what is the one question, Margie, today that I didn't ask you, but I should have asked you?
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't know. You were very thorough. I feel like we've covered a lot.
We have covered a lot, and I didn't cover anything. All I did was ask you questions. You're the one who's just really, you have really over-delivered today. And again, I don't meet many people. And, I heard this a lot when I was first in practice. And I remember, and I'll just tell this story very, very quickly. When I first moved back I'm from Missouri, right out of chiropractic college, I moved to Los Angeles, Santa Monica, actually. Wanted to be a surfer and hang out in the sun, everything else. And when I moved back from California after my son was born, didn't want to raise him there, I bought a doctor's house and his 2 practices. And I'll never forget the first patient I ever went in to see. He was supposed to work in the office with me, but he ended up not. So I went in cold. And I walked in the room. This was an elderly patient. She was probably, at the time, 70. So that I guess is elderly. But she said, "Who are you?" I said, "I'm Dr. Newhouse. I'm your doctor." She goes, "You're not old enough to be my doctor." And she got up and she got up and she walked out. So I was in a small town. And so literally people would drive 30 or 40 miles to come see me. But I was 27 at the time, 28 maybe. And so I understand when people look at you in the business community, and you could be literally brilliant at what you do. And in a lot of instances, especially with online stuff and digital marketing, you're like light years ahead of these older folks. But they still look at you with, like, what do they know? They see a younger person. But I have to tell you, I'm very, very impressed. And again, I don't give kudos like this very often. I'm very impressed with you. And I will have to say, I'm proud of you. Remind me, you're older than my daughter by a little bit, but man, just to work so hard at what you've done, I have so much respect for you, and I have I can't say enough good things about you. So, Margie, let's do this. How can people find out more about you? So, again, give us the Facebook group info, and then we're going to talk about just quickly your website and anything else you want to add in there before we wrap.
Sure. So to join the Facebook group, you can text group to 38470. And that will take you right to the Facebook group. And then there's 3 member questions because, again, we're really making sure that everyone in the Facebook group is a well-established entrepreneur. Find out why you want to leverage podcast guesting so that we can really best serve you. We have community managers in that group. So it's not like you just go in the group and disappear. They're there with you to answer your questions and support you with your goals.
Good. Okay, and the URL to your website.
Yep, interviewconnections.com.
Just like it's spelled, no funky dashes or hyphens or anything else like that at all, nothing.
Nope, very simple.
Okay, and then the one last question I have, you've got a print. Guys, if you're just listening to the audio and you don't see the video, Margie's got the print of a dog head behind her. I can't see it all, but is that the blind dog or is that a different dog?
This is a different dog. This is a painting of a pit bull. I run a yearly art show that is a fundraiser for a local animal rescue group. So I have animal themed art left over from Art for Animals all over my house and office. So this is an Art for Animals piece.
Guys, if you can't tell, a lot of times I talk about people being authentic. If you can't tell, certainly you can tell. You can tell this lady is unbelievably passionate and hardcore on purpose here. So I wish I could say that about every guest that I have on, but I can't. I love the content they deliver, but few people come on and their life bears out the things that they say they believe. And you've demonstrated that time and time and time again today. I want to thank you so much, first of all, for accepting my invitation to do the show. You are a consummate professional. I am very impressed with your marketing acumen. I'm very impressed with the clientele you guys have had. And guys, I want to give my strongest recommendation that you take Margie's most gracious invitation to sign up for a Facebook group, because even if you decide to hire them, that's great. If you don't, maybe you'll decide to hire them later, whatever. It's still a great opportunity for you to go in and get exposure and pick up some great tips and insights and things like that so you can get your feet wet and start moving forward with this, because this is the wave of the future. But Margie, I just want to say thanks. I greatly appreciate you doing this. I'll give you a heads up when this is going to be released. And then one thing I would like you to do, because I always have the transcripts of the shows put on the website. with this, I want a picture of the blind dog.
Absolutely.
Can you send me a picture with you and the dog and even the cats? I don't care, but especially I got to have the dog because that's going to add to the story. I'm going to throw something like in the intro, but I'm an animal lover. And what you're doing with animals, just what you're doing with people, just in general, you're just a real cool person. And I'm just really happy that you did the show with us today. So anyway, we're going to wrap it up and we'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you so much, Ken, for having me on.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Our objective with this podcast is to help you and your business stand out in the marketplace by crystallizing your messaging, marketing, and communications. On behalf of the whole Ken Newhouse team, thanks for listening.